I wanted to honor my former wife. So I said, I'm going to get a tattoo of my former wife here with a crown and say my queen, her name was Ebony, and her name. I said, how would you feel about that? Because you would have to wake up to that every day, seeing it.
Did you get a tattoo?
Yeah, I got it. Yeah. And I watched them kids.
At this point, I hope to put a 300% tariff on microphones because the only time you guys want to sit in front of one is when a woman is being humiliated and embarrassed. Every week it's the same thing. Some couple where some married woman is talking about all she sacrificed in order to be a wife. And if the single women in the audience wouldn't put up with what they put up with, then quote unquote, that's why you're single. It's one thing if he already had the tattoo and he was married for 22 years and you're like, you know what, I can't worry about what's already done. But the man got the tattoo with you right there. Why didn't he decide to get the tattoo in the 22 years that he was married? Why did he wait until he met you to finally get the tattoo? Because like he admitted, it was a test. He wants you to know that she is the number one love of his life. He had you coming into his life knowing that you were second and that you always will be. He said he wanted you to wake up every day to see the tattoo of her, to remind you of your place in his life. If he knew he needed more time to grieve, he should have told that to you up front and asked you to give him more time. Why is it always the man talking about all of the humiliation that his wife was willing to go through in order to become his wife?
Hey guys, welcome to Little Black But No One. You already know my series on this. People are graced to do things. I gotta admit, I can't deny what she said on this one. I remember watching this a couple of years ago and I said to myself, yeah, it's tight. I don't even know if I did a video on it, but I think looking from a perspective, the key word of what he said, which alarmed me, is that he said he tested. Now, listening, I've already watched the whole video, so I'm not going to do a whole live on it. But what I would say is that because I've watched the whole live, I know what obviously transpired before this. His wife passed away. He had been with her for 20 or so years. And then when, he was still, I think he was still raw and still emotional, and still grieving his late wife. And they get into a marriage. Now, maybe I should do a live at this about it. But the part I don't like is testing. I think whenever you start saying you're going to test somebody, I have a very hard line with that. The moment you start testing me is the moment I believe that you are not being in a space of love, you've been in a space of fear. And that means you're going to continually test me in other areas too. Testing doesn't end there. We don't test people. We can observe and see how they move, but I'm not testing you. Right? I'm not God. That's God's job to test. But I'm observing, I'm watching, I'm seeing how you move. Do you align with me? But I think because he had been in a space of grieving, he lost his wife in the middle of the night, he was hurt. I think he was afraid of abandonment. I think that played a massive role in the aspect. But I think, for me personally, you shouldn't be graced to stay in that. I think that the young lady who's also a pastor, I believe, at the time, and she was preaching and ministering at the time. She was, they're both grown adults to say that. But I personally wouldn't have stepped forward if someone's got to do that. Now, I'm not saying the tattoo was an illegal move. I'm saying it's an illegal move when you know that I'm trying to move to you. You should have said, I need a bit more time. Hold on, I want to get this, I want to grieve a little bit. And if you got the tattoo then, it would have made sense. But when he said he used that as a test, yeah, you're going to have to count me out on that particular aspect. And I don't know how much grace that is of God in that particular aspect. But you know what? I went to fit the clip because me, I always go and get a clip. Okay. I'm going to get a clip and we can play a little bit of clip of how it reads up to that particular scenario in that situation. Again, God could do a lot of things. I just, it's not for me. You know what I mean? Like, let's admit when sometimes we're doing some stuff that is us alone. You get what I mean?
And the precedence of how quickly he'll be able to discard you.
Oh no, we're gonna honor her. We're gonna go to the cemetery. Let's get flowers. I'm going with y'all.
Yes.
And that's exactly what she did from the beginning. This is one, I guess you can call it a test too. When we was dating, first thing I said, well, I've never been into tattoos or anything, but I wanted to honor my former wife. So I said, I'm going to get a tattoo of my former wife here with a crown and say my queen, her name was Ebony, and her name. I said, how would you feel about that? Because you would have to wake up to that every day seeing it. And psychologically, for a woman, many not going to do that.
No,
I don't care.
Now, let's pause it right here. This is where I have a problem. He knows that men wouldn't have it right here. He knows that men wouldn't be okay with this and says, I intentionally tested it. We can call it a test, he goes, but you intentionally tested her knowing that a man wouldn't have this. Why would you want to put her through that? Why? You know what I mean? Like, why would you want to do? I know why I would do that. I would do that because I'm insecure about me, and I need to prove that you are for me. I need to prove that you would never leave me. I need to prove that you're loyal to me. I need to prove that you wouldn't abandon me. So I may not have bad intentions in terms of me, whether he likes her or not like her. That's not a story for itself. But that testing is out of fear, because God, if God is revealing, God, your standard test me that God revealed it to you. If we're saying we're trusting in the Lord and we shall let the Lord lead us. But instead, our feelings got involved. And so when our feelings got involved, it's very difficult to tell which one is God and which one is not God. Right? And so that's a very tough journey, but he was grieving and he needed more time. He needed more time to make sensible decisions so that he doesn't do stuff like this, because this can damage the relationship. But of course, old girl is cool.
How you been?
How anointed, say whatever you was. Like, hold on now. That's just too much.
She said, no, you've been with your wife for 22 years. She's like, of course, you honor her. And I said, wow, because I didn't expect that response, really, but it was like a test, like, okay, all right, I can move forward with this.
Did you get a tattoo?
Yeah, I got it.
Yeah.
And I watched him get
it. We was on FaceTime when I was getting it. She was right on FaceTime. She was coming from preaching at the airport. So in between her layoff, she laid over. She was watching.
What you think in that moment, Shavon?
I said, I love how he honored her. He was good to his wife. He's gonna be good to me. And he was not ashamed or trying to downplay. I'm gonna honor her. That made me look at him in a whole nother way. This man is integral.
Okay, so she sees it as integral. I see it as if you're testing someone not being integral. But I can see why she comes from that perspective. For her, she's like, you're honoring your past wife. And I've been close enough to somebody who lost their wife, and I saw that, they still have pictures up around the house and stuff. So I can understand I can understand that still being a memento or being something of a memory. Like, it's difficult to come in when someone's been married to someone for such a long time. I think it's just a timing of it. And not even timing, it's the way he said it. He said, I was testing her, rather than saying, hey, you know what? I really want to honor my wife. I don't know how you feel about this, but this is something I need to do to honor her. That's not a test. That's you saying I need to do it because I believe that in my heart of hearts, I need to do this. Then she's going to be okay with it. But the fact you're telling us it was a test because you couldn't discern, that's what I'm having an issue with. Now, does that speak for the whole relationship? I'm not going to say that, because I think later, no, not even I think I know. Later on, she says she wants for nothing. Whatever she wants, she gets from him, and not in a way of like gold digging, but like he spoils her. You know what I'm saying, Chu? And the kids love her as well. They have a great relationship. She's a great stepmom. Like, so this I never even said that the Lord didn't say. I just said that processes are processes, because I know my own situation. I've been through, my situation ain't clean in the milk. You know what I'm saying to you? I realized that some things that I did were of my own volition. Do you know what I'm saying to you? But if I'm not sure if it's God, I'm gonna tell you that I'm not really sure that's God. That's just me. And I think that's the same thing here. He's testing. That was not of God. That was him. So for her to be graced to obviously watch why he got a tattoo, I get it. I'm not saying it's crazy. I just understand why, people will be a little bit like angst about it, because the word testing is never a good sign, right?
He's integral. And he didn't take pictures down. The church, I'll be coming into it, because remember him and his wife, they pastored. Pictures are down. He didn't take the things down. I didn't force him to do it until he was ready.
How did you know you was ready to take it down?
Well, one, I understand feelings. So although I was going through my grieving process, once we got married and she moved to New Jersey and moved into the house, we relaunched the ministry with us.
Yeah.
I wouldn't want her to still keep coming in and seeing that, although she's okay with it.
Yeah.
I understand that, it's time to take that down. I'm still going through my grieving process, which she understood, but I'm not going to keep it there for her to remind you, because the guy is now giving me something new.
There it is.
How can I move to the new if I'm keep trying to hold on to the old?
You better talk.
Well, brother, you went and got a tattoo. That's the only confusion I'm having, brother, is that you went and got a tattoo, which is permanent, brother. Hey, that's why I said I understood what Shonda was saying. I was like, you churchinese him right now. I can't lie to you. You might have been too fresh in your grieving process to fully conceive it. But now you've come out of it, you should realize, like, you know what? Even the tattoo, though I did honor her, I have to admit, you know what? That wasn't the right choice. It was premature. I love it, but it's premature, because had I realized now, I wouldn't have done it, because I don't want her to see the tattoo on my arm every time I get a sleeve out. Do you know what I'm saying? I want to honor my wife. I don't have to get, but he ain't saying that. So that's why people are going to look at it some type of way. Like, do you not deep what you're saying? You don't want her to see the pictures around the house, but you got a whole tattoo. She's going to see that picture on your arm. Every time she rub your arm, she's going to feel a bump and a graze. Come on, sir. Come on now, that don't make no sense. That don't make sense. I can't lie to you. That don't make
What about
sense.
it, King?
So at that time, it was like, all right, let's start removing. And we talked with our kids, you know, together and said, hey, this is what we're about to do. And one was like, well, why would you take that down? And even one of her children said, well, no, mom, he can keep it up a little. I said, nah. The same way I honored her, I'm going to honor her.
You better talk about it, King.
So I understand that she's strong and she understands, but at the same time, any woman will
Yeah.
Dang, I feel a little slighted.
Yeah.
So I understood that, no, God sent me a gift. I'm going to honor this gift as well.
And the thing that touched me the most, he was willing to tell that to his children.
Yes.
This is y'all's mother.
Yes.
But we're going to your stepmother. They call me Madre.
Yeah.
We're going to honor Madre. And it's not erasing the memory of your mom. We're going to keep the pictures up in y'all's room. But here at the church, we're going to put me and Madre up. And y'all are going to honor that. And they did.
Yeah. Man, when I tell you that.
Now, I love that. I can't lie to you. I'm with it. I'm glad he did do it because it made it easier for obviously transition. And of course, you have to take your time. When someone passes, like, bro, like, I don't want to ever feel that blood until I'm like 89, 90. I can't lie to you, bro. And even then, it still will be painful. But to lose someone when you're still in your fresh years and still in your young years enough to move around, I get it, bro. It's not easy. And that's why I want to give it grace, because sometimes you can do some things in a kerfuzzles. You know, as you're kerfuzzled, then you're in your grieving process. Some things will make sense that don't make sense. You know what I'm saying to you? But now she's been given grace to handle that tattoo situation. As for me, I don't know. It would have to be the Lord have to reveal it to me and tell me that's okay. You know what I mean? As for me, it would have to reveal it to me. If he doesn't say that, I'm going to be like, there's certain things that you're doing that are not of God that you're adding to it. You know what I'm saying to you? Now, God will allow you to go through the process to get to the promise, like I always say. But on that process, just like Abraham had Ishmael, that was something to do with God. That was a man-made move. And I think this tattoo was a man-made move. That wasn't anything to do with God. So she's grace enough to handle that. I get it. I just don't like the fact that he then decided to flip it like, you know, hey, you know, and say, you know, I don't want her to feel slighted. I mean, she's going to look at your arm, she's going to feel slighted. I appreciate you guys. Stay locked, so we'll see you again very, very soon. Much love.